we will be incorporated. And I also want to know if the Southside chapter is going to have a consistent situated place. I mean, I noticed that next meeting is December 6th, and we're going to be in Stony Island. So is this going to be a floating type of place, or will we have a consistent area where we're going to be? I would like to be in this bank building.
I would too. I'd like to be here when there's just me and an open vault. When they called us and said, can we do this because it's an important event for Roosevelt people, we said absolutely. You know, I think it's going to be up to the local leadership to have as part of their agenda to discuss where they would like to meet and whether they want to move it around, because not everybody can get to every place in the South Side equally easily, and it'll be a local decision. Everything that we're doing on the chapters, and there are now a dozen or so, including 2 in China that we just created this month, okay? Everything is locally based. We're going to give every local chapter is going to do its own thing. Whatever makes sense to you. And what makes sense to you doesn't make sense to people in New York. And it doesn't make sense to people in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Las Vegas or Miami or all the other. Okay?
One here. Question?
I have a question for Patrick. Patrick, when you talk about the bequest, could you also do something like if you have a life insurance policy, could you do a portion of that or a percentage of that for the university in the bequest?
Did I give you that question?
No.
Excellent question. The answer is yes. You can, if you have a life insurance policy and you'd like to have part of it go to Roosevelt, or all of it go to Roosevelt, or you want to take one out, that goes to Roosevelt in part, you may do so. Thank you for the question.
One of the things they ask us when we go ask for the really big bucks, you know, the millions, is they always say, what percentage of your alumni gives something? You know, and the higher that percentage is, then they know the alumni love the university. They think that's the only way that it's expressed. We know better, but that's helpful to us. And they don't care about how much it is. They care that it's a big percentage, okay? So as we go to if you go raise $30 million by $10 allotments, because there are not enough people in the world to get there that way, but we have some $1 million gifts, some $3 million gift in there, so there's some big stuff there. You can help enormously by just participating. And when you get the call from the phone-a-thon of the little envelope at the Roosevelt Review, just send back what if you can, you know, if you're able to, send back something that those numbers go up. It says something about how powerful our alumni are in their support of their university, and that helps us then to go leverage the numbers into the big cash. Now, if you've got a lot of money, if your name is Donald Trump and you're just incognito, that's okay too. We never turn down any amount, big or small. Over here.
Thank you. President Middleton, I read a very interesting article in the Tribune today, and they listed all of the universities around the country and in Illinois in particular who are getting millions of dollars because they're allowing credit card companies to come on campus to appeal to students. Are you considering this?
The answer is we've never done it and we have no intention.
Hello, I'm West. Administratively, how will the meetings be run?
Administratively, you mean the chapter meetings?
Yeah.
They will be run in a good, true Rooseveltian way, very democratically, participatory, with ideas that we're looking for great ideas, people to say what they think, and they'll be run according to the principles that the local people find most congenial for their way of thinking. I think there'll be a lot of commonality there because every time I go to a place, I recognize Roosevelt people. They like to listen, they like to talk, they share ideas, and they're very respectful of other people as they talk about what their options are. Pretty common features in all of our alumni organizations.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and I am so impressed with you, President Middleton. Your spirit, it does my heart good. My question is, the new building is gorgeous, but I saw on TV where glass does something to the birds. So there were architects that were saying what could be done with that glass. So could you?
Oh, I love that question. Yes, indeed. I did not know about birds and glass until we decided to build a glass tower. Let me tell you, there's a guy who's an alumnus of the university whose name is a Democratic congressman from the other side of town, Mike Quigley. I went to see him. The first thing he said, "Birds, what are you doing about the birds?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I'll go find out." The building has been specifically designed, and the glass is set in such a way that it's bird friendly. Like I said, it's very important for us for this building to be ecologically the best example of the architecture and of the safety of, so we've been through lots of discussion about how to tint the glass, how to shape the glass, how to provide the angles so that we don't invite the birds to fly into the building. I think that it has been certified and it meets all the standards or exceeds all the standards for bird flight paths that the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois has.
Good evening. In beginning, my question is the new building going to replace the two buildings on Michigan Avenue in Schaumburg, or how does that work?
No, we're growing so fast we've run out of space. We're sitting on top of each other right now. We like each other a lot, but I don't know if we like each other that much for the long period. But it gives me an opportunity. We have, in Chicago, we will continue to have the auditorium theater building. It'll enable us to do some really cool creative things with it when we get a little bit of growing room. Those discussions are just now getting underway. Many of you know we have, because you're a business graduate, you know we have down the street a good chunk of which is that residence hall, 18-story residence hall, across from the Harold Washington Library on Congress and State Street. We have about 600 students living in there right now, and so it helps with our space demands for residences. In addition, we have a parking lot on the corner of Wabash and Congress, a surface lot next to the garage, which is big enough to hold a field house for basketball and for volleyball, because we just recruited a volleyball coach for the women's program, and next year we'll have women's volleyball as our newest sport as we build out our athletic programs. And then we have this amazing campus in Schaumburg, out by IKEA. Now people say, "Oh, you're across from IKEA," and I say, "No, we were there first. They're across from us." All right. On that campus is really acquiring rapidly a suburban orientation, very different kind of activity. So on that campus we have our new College of Pharmacy, which will open next summer. All right, pharmacy is a big, has a lot of demand these days. We're looking for the kind of students that come out of the neighborhoods and rural areas to come be pharmacists with us, and they go back home and help Walgreens and so forth put stores on every corner where they belong down here, just like they do in other parts of the world. And in addition, we're going to have our very first ever PhD program in the university. It's going to be in Schaumburg in industrial organizational psychology. We've hired the professor to do that thanks to $1 million gift from one of our alums. Okay, so we're doing a lot of exciting things out there, as we are doing exciting things here in Chicago. Chicago's about 2 years ahead in the storyline, but stay tuned, Schaumburg will come back. And we're growing. We have lots and lots of potential for further growth because there are lots of good people for whom Roosevelt's the best place to go to school, and I don't want anybody to fail to come to Roosevelt to go to school if it's the best place for them just because they never heard of us. Didn't give us an opportunity to talk to them and get them there. That's what we're trying to do.
Are there other questions? Anyone back, standing? I don't want to miss anybody.
All right, thank you all very much for coming. Patrick will now do the official Create the Chapter ceremony.
I do want to do something very quickly before we do. There are several people who worked hard to make this happen, and I'm going to just very quickly introduce them. If you would hold your applause till I get them all mentioned. Of course, the prime driver behind tonight was Jenna Plackett. Stand up and just wave. We also have here one of our, well, one's here, one's back there, and one's behind the gate. and Kim is on her way up. So I want to thank all of them. So if you give them a round of applause for putting this together. A year ago, the chairman of the board came to the president and said, I would like to have our Alumni Association revitalized. I want to get chapters. I want people to be involved with us as an Alumni Association. And we had done that in the past, but we'd kind of let things slip for a while. And so he said, so by the end of this fiscal year, which is August 31st, I want alumni chapters all over the United States and all over Chicago. And I went back with that message to the directors of development who all work for Myrna and said, okay, you have until about April to get all the leadership identified and get these chapters going. And they all gulped and said, are you kidding? And I said, no, because that's what they want. So out they went. They went all over the country. They went all over Chicago, the area, including down here. And what we now have is 12 chapters with leadership identified. We had a meeting back in September that both Julius and Janice attended, where we redrafted the bylaws of the Alumni Association, establishing the chapters, establishing the leadership, how we're going to operate, and including the ones that Chuck mentioned. We just a week and a half ago signed 2 of these in China with people who had gone to the university earlier in 2000 and some later. It was a joyous occasion there, just as this one is here. So tonight, what we would like to do is officially sign the documents for the establishment of the Southside chapter, and it says the following. And I'd like to ask both Janice and Julius to come down. They worked tirelessly for an entire afternoon and into the evening to do the bylaws, and I have to tell you, Julius then was the reporter the next morning for the Board of Trustees. And I don't know, Julius, I don't know what your background was as a child, but I think that as a person who was raised in the Southern Baptist tradition, as I was, I recognize some of those abilities to connect with people the way that Julius gave a fantastic talk about alumni chapters, but also his reason of how much he loved Roosevelt. He was an athlete, and there's a long story with that. We won't tell that tonight, but it's a fabulous story of how Roosevelt touched him. And it's like the stories that many of you have. So tonight we're going to ask Janice and Julius to sign this, and it says the following. Charter document, the Southside chapter of the Roosevelt University Alumni Association. Whereas Roosevelt University wishes to retain and nurture its relationship with those who have graduated from its academic programs. Whereas the university wishes to have geographical groups that allow its alumni to meet and determine ways to remain connected to the university and to support its mission through activities that are mutually beneficial to each other and to the university, including but not limited to meetings, social gatherings, and financial support. Be it resolved that the Southside chapter of the Roosevelt University Alumni Association is hereby created on this 28th day of October 2010. On behalf of the Southside chapter of the Roosevelt University Alumni Association, Julius E. Rhodes, class of '83, and Janice M. Collier, class of '05. So if you both come up and sign, please.
Standing next to Tom, man. Doesn't happen very often. All right, let's give it a
Congratulations. Okay, a couple of things, and then you can certainly have a few more libations and before you leave. But I want to make sure that we just reiterate the doubleheader men's and women's basketball game November 6th, and we also are having a tailgater starting at 12 o'clock. It'll run until the women's game starts, and then it'll pick up again after the women's game is over.